The following is a Comfortably Zoned Radio Network production.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Comfortably Zoned Radio Network. I'm Rob Deininger, and I'm here with Jack Degraw. And as always, we're talking Yankees baseball. How you doing, Jack?
Good. How are you tonight, Robert?
No, not too bad. We haven't spoken in a while, and you know, as of right now, the Yankees have the top spot in the wild card. And they got a one-game lead over Boston for the top spot, and 2 games over Toronto with the big 3-game series coming up with the Blue Jays.
Yeah, I mean, this team has been so up and down all season. They go from the 61 Yankees to the 67 Yankees, and you know, just after they lost 2 out of 3 with Cleveland, you thought, well, that's it, and then they run off 6 in a row. And in this series in Fenway, I mean, Stanton was fantastic, and the games were just, you know, incredible baseball to watch. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, Stanton, he hit 3 home runs and drove in 10 RBIs in the 3-game series, and his last 2 home runs were over the Green Monster, over the sign. I think they were both over 450 feet, and they were gone the moment it hit his bat.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I think, you know, we're seeing the real Stanton now, what he's capable of doing. I mean, he's played well in New York, but I don't think we've seen till lately how you know, great a player this guy is. I mean, you know, he's something special when he's at his best.
Oh yeah, I mean, when he's hot like he is right now, I mean, he can carry a team for a few days or a series or 2. I mean, he's that talented.
Yeah, I mean, offensively, I think you look on the offensive side, the only 2 guys have really, you know, held up their bargain all year is Judge and Stanton. I mean, they've pretty much carried the team.
Yeah, I mean, Judge, he's batting over 280, and he leads the Yankees with 36 home runs with 92 RBIs, and Stanton's right behind him with 34 home runs, and Stanton has 93 RBIs, which leads the team. He's got 1 more than Judge. But those 2, when they're both playing and they're healthy and they're hitting, they're dangerous.
Yeah, and I mean, they've gotten their share of 2-out hits, and I mean, you know, other guys have come through too, but you know, Judge and Stanton has just been, you know, incredible.
Yeah, and Judge, it seems like he's always coming up with a big hit, either to tie the game or to give him a lead.
Yeah, you know, before the season, you know, we were questioning, could they stay on the field?
Yeah.
And, you know, they pretty much have stayed on the field all season, and, you know, we see the damage they can do. Yeah.
And right now I just hope this hot streak continues, because I'd like to see him take at least 2 out of 3 from Toronto, because Tampa would love nothing more than to knock the Yankees out of the wild card.
Yeah, the Yankees, you know, they got to continue to play outstanding baseball. And let's thank the Twins for winning 2 out of 4 against Toronto, because you know, the way the Yankees are, who knows, they might lose, you know, 5 out of 6 games and not even get in the playoffs, because the Jays and the Red Sox, you know, the Red Sox especially, they have an easy schedule.
Yeah, and Toronto, going into tomorrow's game, in their last 10 games, they're 5-5. The Yankees are 7-3. So the Yankees are the hotter team of the 2. I just hope it continues. But Toronto is a dangerous young club.
Yeah, Toronto had that long winning streak, and you know, we all knew the Jays were an up and coming team. You know, but I don't think anybody expected them to be this good so soon.
No.
And, you know, their pitching has really picked up. I mean, they've made some excellent additions to the pitching staff.
Yeah, I mean, both Boston and Toronto were surprised this year. I mean, I thought Boston would finish with somewhere around 75 wins or something like that, and Toronto would be right there with them. But both Boston and Toronto have played really well this year.
Yeah, I mean, Boston, you know, they were playing outstanding baseball for most of the season. I think lately they've had trouble, you know, like in their bullpen.
Yeah.
You know, the problems the Yankees were having, 2 or 3 weeks ago. And, now that the Sox are bringing a lot of guys and they can't find the strike zone. And, that really cost them in the series against the Yankees because, they were walking guys and hitting guys. And, so they're struggling in the bullpen.
Yeah, and I'm just looking at Tampa's record. They've won 97 games this year. And they got 6 games left. They could have over 100 wins this year, which is amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing what they do. I mean, their scouting system, the way they evaluate players, and they just know when to get rid of guys and acquire guys just when, they're having their best season. And, they do a tremendous job. I mean, and their scouting system and their player evaluation has been solid since 2006, 2007. So, I mean, it's just a shame they don't get the support down here in Tampa.
Yeah, it is. And a feel-good story for the Yankees is Luis Severino is back after over 700 days of not pitching in the big leagues.
Yeah, I mean, he looked really good against Texas, and then, they brought him into a big situation against the Red Sox, and he hit 98 miles an hour. He was sitting there at 95, 96, and then when he had to reach back, it was nice to see him be able to get up to, 98.
Yeah, and we were talking off air, Jordan Montgomery in his 25 of his last 26 games or starts, he's given up 3 runs or less. I mean, so he, even though his record doesn't reflect it, he's pitched awfully good this year.
Yeah, he's been really solid, for most of the season. I mean, every time he comes in, he's going to keep you in the game. You'd like maybe to see him go deeper in games, but, coming back from the Tommy John surgery and, last season he only got, maybe 45 innings. And I think this year, what is he, Robert, about 150 innings this year?
Yeah, he's got 154 and 2/3 innings.
Yeah, so, I mean, he's really held up well.
Yeah, and the only pitcher who has more innings is Garrett Cole with 175.
Yeah, I was checking the other night. I mean, Cole last year only threw 73 innings. So it's, it's impressive. These guys have able to hold up as, well as they have.
Yeah, and if we can, fingers crossed that we get into the wild card game and get past Boston, and we got Cole, Montgomery, Kluber's looked good in his last few outings, but we got Severino back, and we could have Germán Loaiza back. I mean, so we have options coming out of the bullpen, along with 3 guys pitching really good in the starting rotation, and Taillon's pitching tomorrow against the Blue Jays, and we'll see how he looks.
Yeah, we'll have to see how he'll hold up, how many innings he can go.
Yeah.
And I think, I think you might have, maybe Sevy can pitch an inning or 2 tomorrow. I know he'll at least be ready on Wednesday. And I'm just thinking, Robert, I mean, what are they going to do with Severino? I mean, even if he comes back healthy next year, is he going to be a starter? And if he is a starter, how many innings are you going to get out of him?
Yeah, I mean, it might be safe to have him come out of the bullpen for next season. Just, that way he's not putting a lot of stress on his arm, and maybe, keep him to 2 pitches, so he doesn't overuse his arm.
Yeah, because I don't know how many innings, he's thrown in the minor leagues. I assume maybe he's thrown about 25, 30 innings, but, you're going to have him starting the season. How many innings you're going to get out of him? Maybe 80 at the most, 100. It's, I think with the 4 pitches, it puts so much strain on his shoulder and his elbow. It might be better just, to have the guy come out of the bullpen.
Yeah, because, I mean, during his rehab, I think he was shut down twice due to a shoulder soreness, and another time was a hamstring.
Yeah, I mean, he's a great young arm, but they haven't been able to keep him on the field. So I think, we'll see what they do for next season. But I don't know if you can rely on him on a starter. And even before the season, Rob, we were talking about Germán and Telion and Kluber.
Yeah.
I mean, it's surprising the pitching has held up as well as it has all season.
Yeah, and Britton, I guess he's going to miss next year too. I think he had to have Tommy John surgery or is going to have Tommy John surgery.
Yeah, I think he's not coming back next year too. I mean, a lot of the young pitchers have looked good, but it's tough throwing them in these big game situations. But they're learning by fire. So
yeah, it's like I hope we get into the wild card and then into the playoffs. I just hope our hitting holds up and our pitching holds up.
Yeah, that's the big question. The pitching, and these guys have thrown a lot of innings. I've seen where Chad Green's thrown like 75, 76 innings, and he's pitched 64 games. He's been up and down a lot this year, and I mean he hasn't been effective as he normally is. But he's pitched a lot.
Yeah, he's pitched 80 and 2/3 innings.
Okay.
Yeah, and check out this past month. Yeah, he's gotten better in his last 5 outings. He's 3-0 with a 2.70 ERA, but you could tell he got worn out there for a little bit.
Yeah, and I mean the thing was he was giving up a lot of home runs with 2 strikes.
Yeah.
He just couldn't put the batter away, and at times they left him in too long. And the same thing with Chapman. When these guys were struggling, they just left him in there. And if somebody's not doing well, get him out.
Yeah, and that's the thing with Chapman that worries me. If we do get past the wild card, does Boone have a quick leash with Chapman in the playoffs if he's struggling?
Yeah, I think the last 9 innings he's only given up maybe 2 runs. But last night he was throwing the off speed. He was going a lot with the slider. I mean, he wasn't throwing the fastball, and when he did throw the fastball, it was like 96, and he has a tendency to overthrow.
Yeah,
and then he can't find the strike zone. So he's been better, but he's not like lockdown. It's still it's nerve wracking is what it is.
Yeah, and we were talking off air about Luke Voight. He seems to be the odd man out. I was hoping that Stanton would play a lot of left and they could DH Voight, but they like having Gardner in at center and they like keeping Gallo out there on left.
Yeah, I think Voight, there's a good possibility, he might be a trade chip this offseason, and they'll get a good player for him. And, I mean, Stanton are going up in Toronto, so he's not going to play the outfield. So, there's no chance for Luke to get in, unless he plays a game at first for one of the games in the series. But, he's been the odd man out, and he's played some outstanding baseball for the Yankees. Yeah,
and Joey Gallo, he's got 13 home runs with the Yankees, but I think on the season, I think he's got like 37, 38 home runs total too.
Yeah, he's got 38 home runs. He's a power guy. He'll knock in some runs. He strikes out a lot. He does play a good outfield. And he's a good guy to have on your team. But the thing with the Yankees, they have too many guys, who hit homers and strike out. And, unfortunately this year, a lot of those guys, they didn't hit at all. And they all went back at once. And, I think Gallo will be back with the team, but, you might want to move some of the other guys and, maybe not have Gardner come back next year.
Yeah, and because Gallo, he's batting 164 with the Yankees. He does get on base at a decent clip, but you're right. It's home run or strikeout. You know.
You know, the thing is, he has hit a lot of big home runs.
Yeah.
I mean that's the thing, and you know, he's a nice guy to have on the team, but you want to get production from, you know, the other players too. I mean, Torres has played well since he's moved to second base, and you know, it took till middle of September for them to do it, but you know, he's been well, and you know, Sanchez, I mean, offensively he's done something, but defensively it's still you know, it's still tough to watch sometimes. I mean, that one-legged stance is it's not
It cost him.
Yeah.
It cost him a game at Baltimore, and he had a drop and a pop-up against Cleveland that cost him too.
Yeah, I mean, there was a game in Boston when, you know, the Red Sox won a game in extra innings on like 3 wild pitches. I mean, when you see that?
Yeah.
That's like Little League, for God's sakes.
Yeah.
The Baltimore game was like Little League.
I mean, Sanchez, he got really hot in June, and other than that, he's, you know, he has a couple big hits here and there, but he's, again, barely batting over 200, you know, and defensively, he kind of hurts your club. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do with him after next year.
Yeah, I mean, Higashioda, even though he hasn't hit for a high average, he does knock in some runs. He does a good job defensively. He hits homers, but, you know, as far as Sanchez, I mean, can you get somebody better who can be as productive offensively? I mean, if you look at Sanchez, I'm sure in baseball he's like one of in the top, you know, the top 30% offensively. I mean, a lot of the catchers in the major leagues, you know, they don't hit well.
Yeah. And, you know, you think of all the guys, I mean, like guys like Sanchez, Torres, Andujar, Frazier, whose trade value was pretty high just a couple of years ago, and now I don't think you could trade them and get much in return, if anything.
Yeah, I think Andujar still has some value. Frazier, you don't know if you know, poor kid's got a lot of problems. You just hope he's able to have a good life. Sanchez probably don't have a lot of trade value, and Torres is still young, so I think the team would take a shot at him, but you know, the Yankees got a couple kids in the minor leagues they like, you know, at shortstop and second, but you know, they're at least 2.5 years away.
Yeah, that kid Anthony Voight, I know when the season ended for High A, they moved them up. I think it was to Double A, I think, for the postseason.
Yeah, Anthony Volpe.
Yeah.
You know, he'll come to, I'm sure he'll get an invite to spring training and you know, start next year in Double A. But you know, do you want to start a young? I mean, he's a couple years away, I'd say, even if it's not going to happen next year, the year after. But do you want to start a rookie at shortstop? You know, with the Yankees, it's like they did it with Jeter, because you know Tony Fernandez got hurt, but. You know, there's some options in the free agent market this offseason if we don't have a strike on December 1st, which I think we will. I think the major league will.
And Andujar, I saw it was like a month ago they had shut him down, and I thought he was done for the season. But then a couple of weeks ago he started up his rehab assignment again. So I don't know what's going on with him.
Yeah, I think he might have played in the playoffs, but they don't really have any plans for him.
No.
And I think it's just better, you know, if he just goes somewhere where he can play.
Yeah. And tomorrow, Yankees, like I said earlier, they start a 3-game series with the Blue Jays, and Talion takes the hill. And what did he do? He tore a muscle in his ankle or his foot or something like that?
I believe so. So I mean, it's nice to have him back, but what are you going to get out of him? Maybe 3 innings, 4 innings at the.
And Toronto's got one of their better pitchers going. What's his name? Ryu. He's 13-9 on the year. He's a tough left-hander.
Yeah, I mean they got 3 or 4 good pitchers up there. I mean. I haven't been following it too close. I know they had a long winning streak, and we didn't expect the Jays to be good this year, and they've been outstanding, and they're playing in front of their home crowd, and they beat the Yankees 4 in a row in Yankee Stadium, and that really set the Yankees back. I mean, if the Yankees could have just split that series, we wouldn't even be having this conversation. I mean, if they don't make the playoffs, they've had a lot of chances. They've blown a lot of games. They've lost 9 games in the last inning.
Yeah. I mean, that right there, and playing as lousy as they have against the Orioles this year, their record should be a lot better than what it is against Baltimore, too.
Yeah, I mean, the Orioles only have 50 wins, and 8 of them have been against the Yankees.
Yeah. And I'm looking at the National League East. Philadelphia is only 2.5 games behind the Braves, and for first place, and they're both playing good baseball. It'd be something if Girardi can get them, steal that division from them.
Yeah, the only question is now they're running out of games. I think the Braves have a couple games in hand. I think the Phillies have played 2 more games. I don't know if they meet. But they meet again. But the team that gets in is only going to win maybe 85, 86 games, and it looked like the Mets were going to be in the picture. But they played like the Mets, and
they just collapsed in the second half.
Yeah, it's another lost season.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, they're in first place the entire first half of the season, and then started the second half, that was it. It was over. I think they had to play the West Coast for a stretch, and that was it.
Yeah, and it's we thought we were going to see 2 teams in New York in the playoffs this year, and hopefully we'll at least see one.
Yeah, the Braves they start a 3-game series with Philadelphia tomorrow. So that's a huge series for Philly. If they could, they'd have to sweep, but they have an opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, when the Phillies signed Harper and they got a bunch of other guys, they thought they were gonna, get in the playoffs at least, and they've even been struggling to have a winning season.
Yeah.
So.
And I think Harper's having an MVP caliber season. I haven't checked the stats out, but I know he's been tearing it up this month.
Yeah, he's really had a terrific season. And I think Didi's been picking up a little bit late. And, that's another thing, Robert. The Yankees undervalue Didi. And that's come back to bite them. I mean, they had when Torres was in the minor leagues, they were saying, okay, the kid's a second baseman. And then, I think it wasn't fair to his development to move him to shortstop.
No. And Didi was great defensively, and except for that last year when he got hurt with New York, he had gotten better at the plate year after year after year. He really became a good hitter for the Yankees.
Yeah, I mean, he's declined offensively, Didi has, but I mean, he's still got a good glove, and then you wouldn't have been forced to move Torres to shortstop, and he struggled. I mean, he struggled defensively and even offensively. I mean, when he's come back to second base, he's hit almost 300. I mean, it took a long time to do it, but they finally did it.
Yeah. Yeah, and we got Garrett Cole going Wednesday, and then Thursday to finish out the series with Toronto, we got Corey Kluber going.
Well, I mean, the thing is, you want at least 2 out of 3.
Yeah. And have it set up so if we do make the wild card, we have Cole going for us.
Yeah, and I mean, even if they win 2 out of 3 with the Jays, I don't know what you know what the season record is. The Yankees and the Jays.
Not sure offhand.
Because it still might come down. The Yankees have to, win a game or two against the Rays, and the Rays would like nothing better than to knock the Yankees out of the playoffs.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's been a close series, but as far as the record, I'm not sure. I know the Yankees have struggled against the teams in the East this year.
Yeah, I mean, the Rays come in the Yankee Stadium, and they won 4 in a row. Yeah. And I know for a long time, Toronto had a terrible record at Yankee Stadium, but, they come in right after the Yankees had that big winning streak, and, they got right back in the race when they swept the Yankees.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's going to be an interesting last 6 games. I hate the fact that we have to play the Rays those last 3 games. Like you said, the Rays would love nothing more than to spoil the Yankee season.
Yeah, I mean, the Yankees come up big against Texas, and they came up big against the Red Sox, and
yeah.
It's been up and down every year. I mean, I've been a fan since '64, and I've never seen anything like this. It goes from 61 Yankees to 67 Yankees, like
yes.
in the blink of an eye. I mean, so I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, and Boston and their last 10 games, they're 7-3, and the 3 losses were to the Yankees. So, I mean, Boston's playing good. They just got, beat by a hot Yankees team. So I have a feeling if things stay the way they are, it'd be Boston and New York in that wild card game, and I would love to have home field advantage for that.
Well, I mean, we'll see. I mean, who knows what to expect? I mean, it's just been, such an up and down season.
Yeah, and do you want to pick it up a week from today? Because they finish up their season Sunday against Tampa, and we'll know then if we're in or if we're out.
Yeah, any time, Robert. It's always good to talk baseball, but I mean, it's like every week it changes. It's like, okay, they're not going to make the playoffs. Let's get ready for next season, and then it's like, oh, well, they're on a hot streak. It looks like they could go to the World Series. So we'll see what we'll see.
Yeah, and if God forbid they don't make the wild card, they would finish 4th in this division. With Toronto and Boston finishing ahead of them. And that's crazy because the Yankees, they got, 87 wins? They could have 90 wins and be in 4th place.
Yeah, I mean,
but
Boston
they got 89 wins.
Yeah, I mean, Boston surprised a lot of people. And, like I keep saying, we didn't think the Jays would be this good this soon, and they're only going to get better. So the toughest division in baseball, and it was for a long time, is the American League East. Yeah,
I had a feeling Tampa would be there with this year, but I did not expect them to win close to 100 games. Well, they will win 100 games this year.
No, I thought, 90, 91 games. The Yankees have 95, 96 wins, and it's been it's been a roller coaster.
Yeah, and Tampa this year they're 52 and 29 at home, and 45 and 30 away. And so, I guess if you're going to take on Tampa, you got to take them on at their place. They're tough at home.
Yeah, and Robert, I don't even think they're going to draw 10,000 fans a game this year.
It's crazy.
Yeah. And then they're talking about, half the games in Tampa and half the games in Montreal, and it's been a shit show since they started down here. It's just I think the best thing would just be to move, go to Nashville or North Carolina or what, and just stay in the American League East, because they're not going to draw it down here. And there's always talk going to Tampa, and you talk about congested traffic. The downtown area in Tampa with traffic is a nightmare, and there's no public transportation really, and it's just they should just look elsewhere. It's just a shame.
Yeah, I mean, and to think every year they're in first place or fighting for the division, and they don't draw any fans. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, I come down here in 2004, and they won their 70th game, and it was a big deal. And I mean, it's just been, they keep talking about the ballpark, and Tampa and St. Pete compete against each other. They're not like in this together. And Tampa's always wanted it over here. And personally, if they stay here, it'd be better if they stayed in St. Pete, because I think St. Pete's a nicer area, to tell you the truth. I mean, the downtown area here, they're trying to make it sound like it's great. It's not. The traffic is terrible, and I think that the St. Pete area is better because they got a nicer downtown area, and there's a lot of things to do over there. You got the beach, and up here it's the Raymond James is nice, Steinbrenner Field's nice, Emily Arena's nice, but the traffic and the congestion for Major League Baseball would just be a nightmare. And plus, they get a new stadium, most of the fans won't be able to go to the game. So there's my rant.
Well, same time next week, Jack, on a Monday. Hopefully we're still in a good mood. The Yankees are hosting the wild card game.
Yeah, hopefully, everything will stay on the up and up. So we'll see.
Yeah. All right, and to all our listeners, we'll see you next week.
Take care, Robert.
You too.
The proceeding has been a Comfortably Zoned network production. You are advised to keep your dreams wet, your humor dry, your children and grandchildren out of military recruiting offices and off the laps of clerics who wear dresses. Thank you for listening, everyone. Happy trails.